Hello, it's Raticake, and I'm doing the Week 2 power rankings for the VTID. So, a little explanation. LazySp00n and I recorded Week 2 power rankings yesterday, but I'm an idiot and forgot to take off streamer mode. I fixed my settings now for next time, but basically it made it so you could not hear LazySp00n at all. And there's just a bunch of like awkward silences and me going, So, I'm just re-recording this alone, because we didn't really have time to do it together, and we kind of just wanted to get this out quickly, or faster now, since it's already a day behind what we were hoping. So, with that, I'm just going to hop into it. So very first, 16th, we both have Ducksuck. Why we have him here, yes, Ducksuck did get hacked quite a bit. There's a crit that mattered from Galvantula on his Sand Slash that allowed it to be 2-shot. He did lose a speed tie, but with like that speed tie and whatnot, another reason I have him so low is he is getting unlucky, but he's also just kind of like misplaying. He had a Jolteon in the back that could have taken a shot for sure, and then knocked out the Galvantula after Sand Slash already went down because of hacks. But instead he went Keldeo, risked a speed tie, got crit by the Galvantula's Thunder, but that Thunder, assuming that Keldeo had no investment, had like a 37.75% chance to one-shot it. So I don't understand why he chose Keldeo to counter Galvantula. So that's why I had him. That's very similar reasons to why LazySp00n had him number 16. He is getting unlucky, but he's also just not playing the best in our opinions. So for number 15, I have Captain Sethi. LazySp00n has Capital. I'm just going to go in the order of my picks. So, Captain, I honestly don't have too much on. Basically, he had some decent predictions with like going on for an Ice Beam against a Mega Aggron, expecting Latias to come in. However, Captain just isn't quite playing how strong he needs to. He lost 2-0 versus MX, who is new. MX wasn't using a team that they drafted. They picked up for Liam, who dropped out of the league. So the fact that they lost to like someone who hadn't really had much time to prep, it wasn't their team, made me put him down at 15. He did bring it closer than some of the matches, but just the way Captain was playing, I'm not a huge fan of his team, that's also it, but it was mostly just the way he was playing, and yeah. So, next, on to my 14, I have X-Luke. So I guess I'll go over a little bit. LazySp00n basically said the same thing for Captain. I'll explain why Capital is lower than Captain later. So, 14th, I have X-Luke. Basically, I put X-Luke this low because it let Mega Latios die right away to Hitmonlee, which when that's one of his best mons, he should have probably calced. Like, I personally did not expect Hitmonlee to be a counter to Latios, especially Mega Latios, where the knockoff's not going to do quite as much. But when that fake out did like 25%, I think, probably should have calced to see if the knockoff would have knocked out the Mega Latios. I think that's just like that really hurt his team right off the bat. Because he just tried setting up with a Calm, or he set up with a Calm Mind very first as he switched out into Hitmonlee, whereas if he would have just attacked it and done a ton of damage, he could have, Hitmonlee caused a lot of trouble for him, and he could have hurt it right off the bat. Also, I'm not really sure on the Togekiss set, but I didn't really like the way he played it. He just used like Toxic and Roost, and it didn't whittle things down as well as it could have. He could have been doing damage like Hitmonlee if he had like Air Slash. Could have been doing a lot of damage to that instead of toxicating it and then trying to Roost, but ending up like just taking too much damage himself. So yeah, those were like a couple things. That's why I have X-Luke so low. There was a couple months that were really big, and I felt like they could have done a lot of work, but he just seemed to have like odd sets on them that didn't work out. But overall, he played a decent game against Zombie. Zombie was like just earlier in the game making predictions and playing better. Also, Luke did lose some of the hacks, so it had a little bit of effect, but overall I didn't think he played the best game. And yeah, I think that LazySp00n had a similar idea. So LazySp00n has Luke in 13th. For similar reasons I said so capital now. So I have capital 13th. LazySp00n has it down at 15th. So over why I have him here. He missed the Magna Storm right off the bat against the Sylveon, which did hurt because he could have trapped it, possibly killed it. However, Capital I think was just pretty off this game. He let Heatland die, which was a main answer to Sylveon and a pretty good answer to Registeel. Also, he just let Bulu die against the Registeel without doing much to the Registeel when he could have really saved that round and used it, especially once his Heat Ran was gone. That was like his only thing that could actually take out Sylveon, I think. I haven't looked at the game in a while, but I don't see why he let just Bulu die when it still could put in so much work. The Choice Band did kind of hurt him, like it allowed him to do a lot more damage, but he did get locked in against Registeel and Sylveon between his two attacks. One thing I think that Capital should have been doing was clicking Horn Leech more, I guess, to keep that thing around and kind of still do a lot of damage. Like earlier in the game, I guess. One thing, he did have a dual screen Zapdos, which was pretty cool, but it didn't really, it kind of was used once, or I guess it set up another screen later, but it wasn't really used the best. And I felt like it could have just put in a bit more work and could use that a little better. So Spoon has him at 15th for similar reasons. The Heat Ran it should have been the thing to counter Sylveon, and it didn't, which was a big problem that I know Spoon had with Capital this week. So I have him at 13th just because I think this is still a solid team, and if Capital can kind of figure something or fix a couple things, I think he can start winning. So on to my number 12. Spoon has a little higher. I have Naz. So I thought the Yachi Berry Lando I play was pretty nice. It allowed him to take out, I think, like Weavile, something like that. Overall, he played a pretty solid game. But Wolf was just making predictions earlier that allowed him to play a safe game till the end. And Naz, similar to last week, Naz was kind of behind, but just kept on playing safe. When he had to make predictions and whatnot to win, and he didn't, and it lost him the game because he got behind pretty early. He had very little recovery on his team. He needed, I think, personally, to keep Vaporeon around longer, so that way he could Wish Pass to some of his other mons, instead of just letting it die pretty early in the game. And also, he let his Rapid Spinner die pretty early while Wolf still had his Rock Setter, which when you have Volcarona is just such a bad thing to let happen, because then now Volcarona is going to be taking 50% every time it switches in, and there's nothing you can really do about it. So that's why I have him down at 12th. I just don't think he played around rocks well, and he played a solid game, but he really, after getting behind, after Wolf made those predictions early game, Naz had to do something bigger, and he didn't. So I'll go over why Spoon has him higher a little later. So on to my number 11, and Spoon's number 11, we both have Sethi. So Sethi allowed Seismitoad to just run through his team. Lost Magnezone, kind of suspected. Lost Tyranitar and Primarina. Primarina did kind of only go down because of a crit, but Sethi, it just didn't prep for the whole team and let something that you shouldn't have been a huge problem with, it's like 4 times weakness, just really run through his team. I think that Sethi had like I noticed during the game, like Sethi was figuring out, didn't know the weaknesses of Seismitoad, and I think like Landorus, if I remember right. So I had to check that, which were things that, while I do like check that during the game, I usually kind of check ahead of time, and Sethi kind of just seemed to completely miss out on some of that. So I have him at number 11. He's one of the I think he's the highest 0-2 person for me, just because I do feel like Sethi played a solid first half last game, so the first game, and then just kind of like fell apart at the end. So Sethi has shown to us that he can play well, and I think as long as it seems like once Sethi gets down, kind of like loses the head game, and needs, if he can play a solid game all the way through, I can really see Sethi start doing well, because it has a solid. Sethi has a very solid team, and that's basically the same reasons that LazySp00n did. It was really just the not prepping for Seismitoad really at all and just letting it run through his team hurt him so much. Yeah. So moving on to number 10. For me, it's MX. I believe Spoon had him down at like 12. So MX I have here, he's 1-1 with a team that he had not used at all, or did not draft. He lost, I think, 4-0 to Wolf, and then won a game 3-0 versus Naz. So I kind of am at the bottom of the 1-1s because he kind of had a pretty close game with Naz. Got beat pretty bad by Wolf, but it was with the team that you hadn't really used before. So I put him a little lower just because I'm interested to see what he does with a team that he made on his own. Yeah, I know we're both just like really happy that someone so quickly filled the spot of Liam and was able to make up the games. So thank you for that, and I'm really interested to see what MX does down the road with this team that they've made for themselves now. So LazySp00n had him a little lower for similar reasons. It was more just felt like Sethi had played a pretty solid like first half and could do better, and that Naz has shown he played pretty well. So with this, I think yeah, I'm just gonna kind of move on because I lost my train of thought there. So number 9, I have Nathan. LazySp00n has that a lot higher, and Apache, which I have has Nathan a lot higher, and then has Apache number 9. I'll cover that later when I get to him. So I have Nathan in 9th because he did win his game 5-0 versus Capital this week. He played a solid game and prepped really well. The reason I have him lower is Capital did not play well in my opinion. Nathan did keep the 5-0, which is impressive, because like a 6-0 is really hard to keep. A 5-0 is still pretty hard compared to like a 4-0, and the fact that he was able to keep 5 around was really impressive. But he just made some safe predictions that were sort of low risk, pretty high reward, and so I can definitely see Nathan if he's able to do it. I'm just gonna check who he battles next week. So Nathan battles Duck next week, so I guess that's not the right answer. But sorry, Duck. But I think if Nathan has another good week next week and then shows against some of the better opponents, I'll move him up. But right now, this week, it was just against Capital, who has lost his first 2 battles pretty bad. I kept him a little lower because I thought it was a little more Capital just not playing well than it was Nathan playing really well. But I still think Nathan did well and can really quickly rise up if he keeps on playing the way he did. So number 8, I have Apache, which was number 9 for Spoon. So I have Apache up here because turn 1 got crit. by Volt Switch from Tapu Koko, which knocked out his Jirachi, which hurt. Looking just kind of at the team matchup, I didn't see Jirachi doing a ton, but I don't know the set, and also, like, just getting that turn 1 crit, already having that go against you, losing Jirachi, one of your top tier mon, right off the bat, it just gets in your head, and it's awful. So Apache this week kind of used Aurora Veil, but I think it was a little too late and didn't do too well with it. Yeah, but the reason I have Apache one of the higher 1-in-1 teams is this is not like the other ones, or I think that the main reason Apache lost is Pesky just has such a solid team and when it's playing so well that Apache, it's just so hard to deal with. So I kept him higher because I can still see him doing a lot of work. Like this week he plays Jason Gallade, and I think that'll be a really interesting one. And if Apache can have a good battle there, not even win it, but just have a pretty close one, he'll stay higher. And so yeah, so some of the hacks did hurt Apache in this game, but he just seemed off this game compared to last week, and wasn't quite ready and didn't quite use Aurora Veil or run his team as well. But a lot of that was Pesky's prep. Okay, so LazySp00n has Wolverine in 8th. I have him higher up, so I'll get the set after. So number 7, we both have Wolf. So Wolf right away made a great play going for HP Grass against Vaporeon, because that's one of those predictions that's a safe play. That hit Vaporeon decently hard. It hit Rhyperior, which he switched into, extremely hard. And then it also, if he went into like Landorus Eye, it would have hit that thing pretty hard too. But then after that, I guess he might have been choiced into it, but he kept on going for HP Grass against the Vaporeon, which he could have just knocked him out with a Thunderbolt, which would have been nice. Which I'm sure that would have allowed Naz to switch into something, but it kind of would have taken Vaporeon, because as I talked about earlier, I felt like Vaporeon, Naz ended up not, in my opinion, not playing it the best, but Vaporeon could have been helpful for wish passing and just keeping it around and kind of taking hits. But either way, Naz was able to keep Vaporeon for fodder because of how he was using HP Grass, which kind of hurt Wolf. So he had like I think it's Oka Berry on the Steelix, which was pretty cool and allowed it to get a lot of damage on the Mega Manectric with like an Earth Power because it survived a Flamethrower. So this game, I have Wolf lower than a lot of or he's the lowest 2-0 team for me, for 2 reasons. One, the first battle he won was against MX, who I'm pretty sure battled either day of or like day after getting the team, so obviously didn't have too much time to prep. And then he beat Naz, who I just thought wasn't playing the best. So Wolf won 3-0, and another reason I have him a little lower is a lot of the other, well, okay, not a lot, but so some of the other 2-0 players, they really played well the whole game through and like kept their differential, whereas Wolf got out ahead right from the start and then played a safe game, which is fine, and allowed him to win. But against some of the stronger opponents, I could see being problems, and that's what I'm interested to see in the upcoming week. Plays Vesuvius this week, and he's another one just like Apache, whereas if Wolf has a like competitive, pretty close game with Vesuvius, whether he wins or loses, could be moving up, because it proves that he can play with the better players. Just so far, he has played 2 of my lower ranked players, so I'm just interested to see what Wolf has. So my number 6 is Wolverine. I put Wolverine at number 6. He is 1-1, whereas Wolf's 2-0. But Wolverine played Vesuvius this week, which Vesuvius in my mind has just been playing so well that I can't give him too hard of a time for that. Wolverine started out a little shaky. He made like an incorrect double in the Pidgeot, which allowed it to get hurt pretty early on. He kind of had a hard time with Rotom Wash because while he had Kartana, that's not going to switch on a Rotom Wash just because A, Kartana has no special defense, B, doesn't want to get Will-O-Wisped. So that was a little rough on him. I don't really get why he played Quagsire the way he did. I guess he kind of could fake the Water Absorb in the beginning, but it showed later he was not Water Absorb. So bringing that in on Rotom Wash, I felt it was just like a pretty risky thing that could have allowed to get knocked out. So he could have taken out Kiram with a Play Rough, but tried to predict and lost Mimikyu because of it. He went for a Shadow Claw instead, didn't knock it out. But that did allow Kartana to come in and hit it, knock it out, and get that Beast Boost, which could have. It kind of reminds me of last week, this Celesteal play from Jason Gallade. But then, I don't know what happened, but Wolverine wasn't running Kartana fast enough to outspeed, I think it was Mew, and ended up getting like Will-O-Wisp, or it somehow got burnt along the way of things. Whereas if he would have been running Jolly, he should have outsped everything on the team that wasn't like Choice Scarf and could have ran through it. So I think Wolverine, I have him higher. One part, I've been playing with the Wolverine a long time. I think I've actually been playing with Wolverine since I was like 5, Pokemon wise, and just in leagues I've been in with him, he's done very well. And so he was just a little off. I know I probably shouldn't be putting that too much into my power rankings, but I still think that his team, another thing is he dropped Gothitelle to pick up Chansey, which while it is kind of setup fodder, I think it works with his team well, where he has Toxapex and Tangrowth already. So with Toxapex, he can set up Toxic Spikes, use his 3 just incredibly bulky Mons to kind of stall things out, and then he still has those really hard hitters like Kartana and Mega Pidgeot in the back. Plus, if a Mon does set up, Mimikyu kind of helps with that because of its ability, Disguise. It'll make it so it can't just be one shot by a Mon that's set up already. So I really like Wolverine's team, especially now that he picked up Chansey. Vesuvius had Kyurem Black, which can break through like any team, but I can see a lot of the teams in the future are just having such a hard time breaking through Wolverine's wall core that I think it has a very solid team, and I'm not giving him too hard of a time for losing to Vesuvius, especially since it was a semi-hacksy game, and that played at least a part in the 4-0. So I'm interested to see this later. Archbeam I ranked higher also, so I'm going to go over him once I get to him in my rankings. So 5th, I have ZombiesN. LazySp00n has Nathan in 5th. LazySp00n just felt like Nathan played a really solid game and can keep on doing that, so he ranked him pretty high. I have ZombiesN in 5th. I thought having a Hitmonlee as a counter to Mega Latios was so smart. He went for like a U-turn on with Thunderous Therian against the Milotic, expecting Ditto to come in, I believe, because then it would get Volt Absorb. He also, so basically, he did get kind of lucky. He got 2 crits and like 5 special attack drops in a row on the Milotic. However, Milotic was using like Mirror Coat, so while it did matter because it forced him to switch out later, so because he couldn't hit anything with Scald, I believe he was running. In like the exact moment, it didn't matter too much. He played really well on the fact that his only real answer to Milotic and Togekiss was Thunderous Therian, and his opponent had a Ditto, which would get Volt Absorb, and Electivire, which I'm assuming had like Motor Drive. So he knew he had to like work around those two before he could start like using Thunderbolt. He also had a Choice Scarf Diggersby, which I know LazySp00n really liked. He knew that if Ditto came, it would probably be Choice Scarfed. So he ran the Choice Scarf because it made it outspeed so many things and it could just put in so much work. So at the end, he did have to win a speed tie against the Ditto, which I think he would have won either way, but I'm not 100% sure. But he won that speed tie, which allowed him to win 2-0. I ranked him, I believe I moved him up. Basically, ZombieZen had a big step up, in my opinion, from his playing last week. This week, he really made like a lot of nice predictions, and whereas last week it was kind of just played what was in front of him the whole time. And I think if ZombieZen can keep it up, it'll do really well. So, on to my number 4. So number 4, I have Jason Gallade, and LazySp00n has ZombieZen, for similar reasons why I had him in 5th. So I have Jason Gallade down here. I honestly don't have too much to say about this. He played just a solid game. The Seismitoad is great. He kind of recognized Seismitoad can do so much work. It's a semi-lower tier mon, so Sethi might not think about it too much, and just had coverage for everything. And then he had his Rock Polish Landorus, which he just sent out once Seismitoad died, and just ensured the win by setting up a Rock Polish, then clicking Earthquake and one-shotting everything. Yeah, there's not too much. It was a pretty quick game. It was basically just Seismitoad and then Landorus. I have him a little lower because he also, I think he's played Duck and Sethi, who are 2 of the lower ranked ones. So I can see once he really steps up and plays a higher opponent, which he plays Apache, who's 1-1, but if Apache plays like he did week 1, could be a very good battle. Once Jason shows that he can play with some of the better players, I'll move him up. Yeah. So ZombieZen had some higher. I'll explain more later. But yeah. Okay. Sorry, I just thought I messed up the frame, which I might have anyways. So we'll find out later. So 3rd, I have Archbeam. It was a bit lower for LazySp00n, so why I have Archbeam up here. Right away, turn 1 with Galvantula, clicked HP Fire against the Fortress. This just really threw off, or didn't throw off Ducksuck, but it made it. Ducksuck had to keep his Galvantula on to like rapid speed if he wanted. And then the next turn, instead of going for another HP Fire, he went for Sticky Webs because he knew that Ducksuck would probably switch out, or whatever he did, it won't do too much damage. So he did get a lucky crit against the Sandslash that allowed him to 2-shot it using Bug Buzz, and then he won a speed tie with Keldeo, assuming it was max speed Keldeo, like same speeds, and then knocked it out with a crit from Thunder, which, if the Keldeo had no bulk, had a 37.75% chance to knock out anyways. Yeah, so he did have some hacks in his favor, but I think he would have won anyways. Archbeam really played a good game this week, especially his late game, because that's some of the other players have started out strong, but then just kind of played safe to win. Whereas Archbeam won 5-0, and at the end he was really just like switching and making sure that he kept the 5-0, and I was like really happy about that after seeing a lot of the other players not do that. Yeah, I don't have too much else to say about it. He just played a solid game. It was a step up from last week, and I'm a huge fan of his team, and I'm really excited to see what he does down the road. So 2nd, for me, Pesky Skitty, who is 3rd for LazySp00n. He did get the turn 1 hit against Jirachi. which allowed it to knock out, as I said earlier, which was helpful. But then after that, he goes into Minor, which, if I remember right, with shields up cannot be status while the shield is up. He went in with that against Amoonguss, and that just allowed him to... He took like 30% from a Giga Drain, and then he set up his Shell Smash with his like White Herb, which then allowed him to... he still had all his defense, took another 30% from the Amoonguss because it can't spore him, if I'm right about what Shields Up does, and then just used Minwar to put in so much work. Apache did kind of like switch out oddly into a bunch of different things and let them take a lot of damage from acrobatics, but either way, I just think that Pesky like used Minwar so well, used Explosion once a Gyarados came out to knock it out, which was really helpful also. And then he had Calm Mind, Z Solar Beam, Entei, which was really cool because so once Entei came out, I think it was after the Minwar died, Entei ends up coming out, and Apache sends out Goliath because that's usually a counter for it, but he was able to set up the Calm Mind, then use Z Solar Beam, which was able to, after the hail, knock out the Goliath score, which would usually be a counter, which I just thought was a super like cool set and like thinking ahead of time. So I have Pesky number 2 above some of the other people because I think that Pesky has such a good team. He's using it so well. He has Zygarde, Mega Metachan, Tapu Koko as like an offensive core, plus like Entei and Minor. But those top 3 are just so good and so hard to deal with that I think Pesky Skitty can just like do so much work against so many teams. So he did get a little bit of help from Hacks this week, but I think Pesky Skitty's just been playing so well. That's why I have him at number 2. So LazySp00n's number 2, my number 1 is Vesuvius. So I guess I'll go over Jason Glade a little bit in LazySp00n's spot 4. LazySp00n said he just really likes the way Jason Glade has been playing. While his opponents have been 2 of the lower ranked ones, he's really just like exploited that, got big wins out of it. And yeah. He also said something about he knows Vesuvius is going to be unhappy about being number 2, but, and I quote from LazySp00n, Vesuvius, get a 7-0, and then I'll put you in number 1. So, good luck with that, Vesuvius. So Vesuvius, I have him number 1. Again, so last week, he got the 6-0, which he had to work for. This week, he beat Wolverine 4-0. Wolverine is just a very solid player, and beating him, I think, proved that Vesuvius, it wasn't just because he played not so good player. Week 1, like, no, I'm not saying that his week 1 battle was against a not very good player, but it showed that he can really play as some of the better players. Once again, he was just constantly making low risk, high reward predictions that just worked out for him. He brought all the right sets. Also, LazySp00n did have him 1 lower because he felt like Hacks played a decently large role in it, or a pretty big role, if not in differential, even in the game possibly. I have Vesuvius number 1 because while it was semi-hacksy, I think he just was in control the whole time and just played a really great game. So that's really it. Sorry, this is kind of quickly done. I'm alone, so I didn't really have someone to bounce off of. So I'm just going to kind of go over some things. So for the upcoming week, one game I'm really looking forward to is Capital versus Sethi. They are both 0-2. They are both solid teams, I think, that can, like, they're both trying to prove themselves still. So I'm really excited to see how that game goes. Naz versus Zombie. is another game that's happening. Yeah. Nathan faces Duck. Vesuvius versus Wolf, I think, is a really big game. Because those are two people who are 2-0. And while Vesuvius, in my opinion, has proved himself, Wolf is still trying to do that. So this is a really big game for Wolf. The next one that I'd say, so Capital versus Sethi I'm excited for. The one I'm most excited for, and I'm pretty sure LazySp00n was most excited for, is Pesky versus Archbeam. So those, in my rankings, are my number 2 and 3. And this is a battle like of two of the strongest people in the game. We both agree that the top couple people, meaning the top 4 for both of us, Jason Gallade, Vesuvius, Pesky Skitty, and Archbeam, are sort of playing above anyone else right now. And so having 2 of those 2 go head to head is just going to be a super exciting game, and I'm really excited to watch it. And I made sure I got my my pick'ems in early, so hopefully I can watch it live. After that, we have MX versus Xluke. I'm just interested to see now that MX has a team that he's really just. I think he made like 6 transactions or something. So now that he has a team that is his own, I'm really excited to see how he does. Wolverine versus Captain Sabusaur. I guess that's a big one for Captain because having 2 losses, hoping to maybe get some momentum. And for Wolverine, who's just coming off a loss, just needs to try to shake that and get right into it. And then we have Apache versus Jason, which I think is a big one for both of them. Because Apache showed week 1 that he can play very well. Week 2, in my opinion, did not play very well. So I think if week 1 Apache shows up, it'll be just a really good game. And it's a time for both of them to prove, because Jason Glade, if he can come out, if Apache is playing well and can come out with the win, really shows that he can battle the higher ranked or like better playing opponents. And if Apache wins, this gives him a win over someone who I ranked 4th, LazySp00n has ranked 1st, and just shows that week 2 was kind of just a fluke. And yeah. Also, I know next week there's a bunch of transactions that we'll probably go over during the video. So I'm just really excited to see next week, because I think there are a couple battles there that are very important and will kind of set the rankings a lot more. But we can also just kind of have people, make our jobs difficult and have completely unexpected things, which are always great. So yeah, once again, I'm sorry that both of us weren't here. I just completely messed it up. And then when I'm alone, I don't have someone to work off of. So this video is probably not going to be as great. But next week, we are hoping to get the video done earlier. We have a backup date for if that doesn't work out. And there'll just be 2 of us, most likely. So it should be a lot better. So thank you for watching. Peace out.